Namaste, namaskaram, vanakkam, namo namaha, jai Ganesha. Please visit our website at classicalyoga.org, and there is a donate button if you would like to help us out. And please stand up for the Hindu, yoga, religious, spiritual, scientific, philosophical lifestyle. Today's podcast: is your bulb screwed in? Planted? Are you going forward or in reverse? A bulb can be a light bulb, of course, and also a bulb that you can plant in the ground. For example, tulips that you can plant in the spring of one year and have them come up the next year. So let's make an acronym out of bulb. Build your lasting bodies, or build your loose bodies. And when we say bodies, we're speaking of our physical body, mental body, emotional body, and what Hindus would call the Atmana, or in general, the soul body. But remember, there's a difference. Soul is a Western term, and it's still connected to the mind, whereas the Atmana is disconnected from both the mind, body, and emotions. So it's up to us. The choices should always be ours to make. Build your lasting bodies or build your loose bodies. Take care of the physical body, mental, emotional, and Atmana. Just like a light bulb, we can choose to screw in the light bulb, hence lighting the light, or we can take the same spiral in reverse and no light, or the bulb will fall to the ground and break. Same thing with a flower bulb. As long as it's sitting in the package or on the shelf, nothing's going to happen. But as soon as you plant it in the earth and give it water and sun, it will sprout. You can listen to our podcast on Don't Underestimate Chana, or the beans of life. It's a wonderful analogy, too, for the potentiality that's always there, but we have to apply the appropriate elements. And in this case, heat water to get the chana, the dry beans, the rice to cook and sprout. So the potential is always there, but we have to put the effort in to light the light, to have the bulb manifest into a beautiful flower. And like screwing in a light bulb, direction is everything. And remember, in Chandogya Upanishad, that was the first leg of Brahman that Nandi taught to the young Satyakama. First direction. In other words, know where you are, where you've been, where you're going, north, south, east, and west. And be able to take directions to build your lasting bodies, or avoid directions, instructions, and build your loose bodies. Of course, by now we should realize that symbolism is very powerful in our lives. So in the Hindu yoga dharma, Nag Devata is very important, the snake. For this is the way the energies of life move in waves, sound waves, light waves, heat waves, the DNA, the energy waves that flow through your body, the veins, the arteries, the fissures in the human brain itself, or the brains of various creatures. And the snake, especially the cobra snake, not only moves in a wave-like fashion, but when the energies increase, it coils. The spiraling nature of life, the intelligent design of the spiral, from the galaxies to the most creative and powerful forces of life itself, the hurricane and tornado, the whirlpool, the breaking wave. At the bottom of the ocean, the conch shell, the cochlea inside your ear, the twin helix of the DNA, the spiraling nature of life. And a spiral can take you in an ascension or a descension, depending on which way you go. If you go clockwise, if you take that bulb and you screw it up clockwise, it lights. If you do it counterclockwise, it doesn't light. So in this case, it's a good thing to be screwed up. Using that positive spiral motion. Sometime walk up a lighthouse, if you will, or any spiral staircase. And by going around and around, and increasing the height just a little bit each time, you eventually get to the top. It's a great analogy, especially the lighthouse analogy. You want to become your own lighthouse. And what is a lighthouse for? It is to guide ships safely into the harbor with the light source at the top, the beacon. So too, we can choose to work on ourselves, go in a positive direction, spiraling round and round. And again, those of you that have listened to our many podcasts, you've heard these things again and again. But the basic dance of life, the spiraling dance, is the EDME process, EDME, EDME. Ethics, devotion, meditation. Keep up the process and it leads to a relatively more enlightened life, EDME, ethics, devotion, meditation, enlightenment. This is life in general. And these are the classic 4 yogas in the Hindu yoga dharma. Remember to always respect generalities and specifics. Specifically, EDME is karma yoga, bhakti yoga, raja yoga, jnana yoga. Ethics, devotion, meditation, enlightenment. As we go round and round, this is evolution itself. Spiral means to evolve. Evolve means to spiral. Evolution. The spiraling nature of life. We keep going round and around. We keep practicing again and again. Dosa drista mahora bahuha. See your defects, practice again and again and again. This really is the very nature of life. It can be very slow or it can be very quick. That's the karma of life, the energy karmic forces of life. That can happen either in a very slow time frame or very quick. So in life we figure out that if we do this clockwise spiraling motion, we go up and up and up, and we become a beacon of light for others, having climbed the mountains of life, so to speak. Or we can choose the opposite. We can go in reverse, counterclockwise, and instead of being a beacon, we can be a con man, a con woman. Enter today's spurious yoga movement, as they're taking the once sacred Sanskrit, Tamil, Hindu term yoga and completely reversing it and creating a crass physical exercise or a very vague spirituality. And hence it's not a coincidence that there's hot yoga and power yoga and doggy yoga, laughter yoga, nude yoga, goat yoga, beer yoga, kino yoga, Adrian's yoga, ad nauseum. Again, the choice is up to us. Do we take that spiral and light the inner light? Or do we go in reverse and hide the inner light? The in-diya. This is why Hindus light their diya every day. And most importantly, uncovering the diya within. In fact, we really don't light it. It's already lit. But what's happened? It just got covered up. That's why Saiva Hindus wear the Tripundra of Vibhuti, the third pada of the Yoga Sutras of the Saiva Hindu Guru Patanjali. The holy ash that reminds us to burn up on a daily basis lobha, krodha, kama, greed, anger, and lust. And when we do, just like when the clouds part, we see the sun that was always there, the inner Atmana, the El Soul within, if you will. The Antarjyotir. That's always there. It just either gets covered up or uncovered, depending upon our actions. This is why ethical codes of conduct are basic to life itself, and certainly in all the religions of the world. And in Hinduism, we have many ethical codes of conduct. One are the classic yamas and niyamas of the Saiva Hindu Guru Patanjali. Sadly, this great work, the Yoga Sutras, has been totally distorted by the massive spurious yoga movement. A true read of the Yoga Sutras shows that this is really designed for Hindu male renunciate yogis in training. It's really for those who are ready to, in a sense, exit the external world and go deep within, into the absolute of the Atmana, into the no-thingness. Kaivalya, liberation. Purushartha sunyam kaivalyam. The wealth of the no-thingness of the Atmana, the Tat experience, the eye of the hurricane, the eye of the spiral. Remember, in order to have a true spiral, you have to have an eye. In order to have a hurricane, you have to have an eye. The mystical, magical no-thingness at the center, the zero. Remember, it was the Hindus that came up with the zero for calculations. And now we understand the binary system that is life, 0 to 1, 0 to 1, 0 to 1. Remember again, if we were stuck in Roman numerals, we would not have advanced as civilizations. It's the binary system, which is life itself. From the no-thingness to the Big Bang of creation, back to the no-thingness. 0 to many, 0 to many. And in the Hindu Yoga Dharma, we represent that no-thingness by the blackness of Mother Kali, by the Shiva Lingam itself, the black Shiva Lingam, the ellipsoid, the eye of the hurricane, the black hole of creation. Look into each other's eyes. We have one there too, the black hole, the no-thingness, which is the fullness of everything. And again, we go there every single night in the depths of sleep. And in Nidra Yoga, we go into that in our in-depth meditation. Maybe you can only hold that state for just a few moments into the absolute. But out of that comes a great refreshment. But we must cultivate this. The Hindu Yoga Dharma has always been a very nature-based religion, agrarian culture. In fact, the Saiva Hindu Guru Patanjali likens the yogi to a kshetra kavat, the farmer. And what does a farmer do? Well, a farmer first respects their field. This is taught about. This is respecting the chosen religion. We have chosen the Hindu Yoga Dharma, the Hindu religion, Hinduism. Every farmer respects the other farmers' fields. And then we have to get to work, Karma Yoga. Plow that field with full devotion, Bhakti Yoga, and concentration, Raja Yoga. And if we keep up this spiraling process, we will get a crop, fruit-bearing trees, food to feed the village. Or we can decide to be lazy and depend on others to do all the work, or even worse, steal the crops from somebody else, like today's spurious yoga, totally stolen from the Hindu Yoga Dharma, from all those multitudes of Hindus that have put so much effort into creating this beautiful classical Hindu yoga, religious, spiritual, scientific, philosophical lifestyle, which many are just simply appropriating, and in 200 hours declaring themselves professional, certified, authoritative yogis. How absurd. They have no idea of the life of a true yogi or yogini, renunciate life. And remember, all of you Hindus, you're yogis and yoginis in the sense that we live this Hindu yoga, religious, spiritual, scientific, philosophical lifestyle, karma, bhakti, raja, jnana, hatha, mantra, japa, naranata, kundalini. But we know that the yogi and the yogini, per se, are those that leave society. They go off and really challenge themselves. Again, why it's so absolutely absurd at best when people in their so-called yoga studios run around calling themselves yogis, yoginis. Clueless. These people are, quote-unquote, obviously going in an opposite direction, in reverse, if you will. Now, in the Hindu Yoga Dharma, we also understand the sacred forces that are inside of all of us, which we call the chakras. And remember, chakra is a wheel, and a wheel can do several things. It can either not move, it can go flat, or it can go forward, or it can go in reverse. Again, screwing the bulb in a proper way lights the inner light. When the chakras are spinning forward and positively, then we create, in order, a sound memory. We appreciate logic and reasoning. We use our willpower to experience divine love at the Anahata chakra, further purification in Visuddha chakra, to the spiritual perception, prajna, at the third eye point, the mark of a Hindu, bindu. Remember in the Vedas, Puram bindu vajri purush tutaha. The Bindu Hindus talk to themselves, and sometimes they refer to themselves as Bindus. Bindu Hindu. Ancient soulful warrior. Puram Bindu Vajri Purush Tuttaha. And these soulful warriors, these Hindus, grab a hold of the cosmic ocean within through the breath. Hindu Samudra Idayarti Vayubhir. By living the yoga lifestyle, Yoge Samana Parivam Sapta Shravato Rato Gat, all the classic Hindu yogas, to uncover the Atmana, Vidma Hitwa Sahasras Atman. Give us this knowledge of Atma Darshana, Hindu yoga Atman. And remember, again, of all of our classic yogas, the only one that our Rishi says, don't display this one, take a guess. It's the one that's out there under the guise of yoga, the massive yoga movement, where people are glorifying their physical bodies, making big bucks, and stressing out when they're not making big bucks. They have videos on how to make big bucks as a yoga teacher. Come on. How absurd. And what's even more absurd is that, quote unquote, Hindus have let this happen. We haven't lit our bulbs, have we? We've been weak. We haven't been a beacon of light to others. We've participated, actually, in being a con. Con man, con woman. The con art of living. All these delusional universal gurus that denied the word Hindu and pulled everybody in for picture, personality, price tag, fame and fortune. Very sad. And all the scandals that went with it, like the infamous Bikram Choudhury and his hot yoga mess. You're not the only one. Do your homework. Been lots of scandals that ruined the lives of many people. Remember, folks, if it's not Hindu yoga, it's all hot, stolen yoga. So what happens when the chakras are spinning in reverse? Well, instead of memory, in other words, remembering who we are as the Atmana, Tattvamasi, one totally forgets who they are. Clearly, this is what's happened as people become infatuated with their physical body, setting up their own so-called yoga organizations, .coms. When the second chakra spins in reverse, then we lack logic and reasoning. We just can't do it or don't want to accept logic or reasoning. And the willpower is used for nefarious purposes. And the love at the heart chakra becomes a very narcissistic, even Machiavellian, selfish love. Listen to our podcast on the KKK. As these spiritual gangsters brazenly set themselves up as master yogis. And instead of purification at Visuddha chakra, they become dirtier and dirtier, if you will. Layer upon layer of confusion. And rather than spiritual perception, prajna, at the ajna chakra, it becomes self-perception. And the enlightenment at Sahasrara chakra becomes being blinded by light. Blinded by their own glamour and glitz as they become Om stars. The Kino fans, as they become like Hollywood personalities, fake one and all. So only each one of us can be brave enough to self-reflect and ask ourselves, is our bulb screwed in? Are we trying to uncover the inner light of the Atmana, of love, light, and energy? Or are we going in reverse, thus deluding ourselves and innumerable others? The blind and the blind and the blind dance shuffle, Yoga Swami. So in today's massive New Age movement, yoga movement, the teachers are blind, the practices are blind, the students are blind. And we can't overlook the blind Indian Hindus who allowed all of this to happen and still allow it to happen. It's all as absurd as a bulb in this case a flower bulb, just sitting on a shelf and expecting something to happen. No. It needs to be planted. Plant yourself in the soil of your chosen tradition. That could be Hindu or one of the other great religions of the world. And once you're planted, follow the process, just like the bulb does. It sends down roots. This is ethics in general, karma yoga to the Hindu, the roots of the subsequent sprout. As the sprout goes up in devotion, bhakti yoga to the Hindus, and then opens up into the flowering process, Raja Yoga, the flowering of the Atmana, if you will. And then in the case of a fruit-bearing tree or a vegetable, for example, the fruit, the end product there is Gyan Yoga, following this systematic process. So the choice is up to us. Are we screwing our bulb in and lighting the inner light or uncovering the inner light? Or going in the opposite direction? Are our chakra wheels going forward or are they spinning in reverse? Are we planted? Do we have a foundation? This is Shraddha to the Hindus, having full faith in the Dharma. So that we do become a fully blossoming, flowering, fruit-bearing tree that can benefit others. So that we do uncover the inner light and become a lighthouse and become a beacon instead of continuing to be a con. Doing the right thing is not easy. And when it comes to the religions of the world, it shouldn't be really an easy thing. If it is, you can bet you are being conned. If you think all you have to do is make a proclamation and automatically you're saved, think again. And bizarrely, this basically Christian mindset has entered into the minds of many quote-unquote Hindus. Just go to Facebook, YouTube. There's all kinds of massive, spurious yoga personalities out there. And many of them are encouraged by the quote-unquote Hindus. And in this case, many Indian Hindus. Remember, Hindu is a religion to which anyone can belong if they do the work and make the formal commitment, like anything else. I mean, how superficial to think we don't have to work at something. For example, there's a Facebook page called Easy Hinduism. Is anything worth having in life really come that easily? It's an oxymoron right off the bat. And interesting, there was a fellow on there that said, quote, "You believe you are a Hindu, you automatically are, instantly. So whatever your background or religion at birth, the second you consider yourself a Hindu, you are one," end quote. Wow. And when challenged, we got eliminated from the Easy Hinduism site. How absurd, though. How superficial that one can instantly, automatically become anything. Life doesn't work that way. And certainly this is the antithesis of the Hindu Yoga Dharma. Typically, one who goes into the sannyas life, renunciate life, to become a yogi, a renunciate yogi, and then subsequently perhaps a swami, a satguru. Regardless of whatever studies they have done, they're considered a brahmacharya student for at least 12 years. And then probably several years of relative isolation. There's a great account of that in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika by Yogi Svatmarama, of the daily life of a yogi, or yogini perhaps. But generally women don't do this because it is very physically demanding to live off like this. by yourself. And who knows how many yogis and yoginis we never ever hear from again. They just go off, they're content with being a nobody. So people who write autobiographies of themselves as a yogi, nothing could be more absurd. As a Swami from Sri Lanka said, a yogi's a nobody. How can they write an autobiography? Some may recall the story in Chandogya Upanishad of Indra and Virochana, who go to study with Prajapati. And it's very interesting that Virochana, even though he did study for 32 years, he left thinking that this was just simply about the body. What a great analogy, metaphor for today's spurious yoga movement, where they think it's just really about the body. And Virochana was never heard from again. Indra, on the other hand, he studied for 101 years. I know that's fantastic, but often these stories go over the top to try to force a lesson upon us that anything in life worth having, anything profound, it takes time. It takes full dedication. And certainly Hindus should know this for those who enter into music and the arts, sculpture, dance. They take decades to perfect their art. So too, in the Hindu yoga dharma, it takes a long time before one can ever declare themselves to be a teacher, and they probably wouldn't do that. Others would look to them and ask them to teach. So to all those Hindus out there that think you can instantly and automatically become Hindu, woe unto you. You are setting the stage for more and more spurious yoga. For those who have chosen an opposite direction in life. And for those that are truly interested in the Hindu yoga dharma, do the right thing. Take your time. Study. Go to Hindu mandirs, ashrams perhaps. They're all over now in America, around the world, so you should be able to find one. And certainly online you can find instruction there. Take your time and study. And if at some point you choose to become a Hindu, you can do that, but it's a very serious commitment, which always involves a name change. That's the Namakarana Samskara. And then you can honestly, ethically, morally, sanely call yourself a Hindu. And just pause for a moment and think, if you can instantly become a Hindu, what do you know? And if someone asks you about what is Hinduism, how much are you going to know if you've instantly become a Hindu? Or one can choose to continue to follow a fraudulent path, to follow a very wishy-washy form of Hinduism, or to follow the massive hot stolen yoga movement. So, let's leave off with a quote from the Tirukural, one of the major scriptures of Hinduism. Remember, we have many. The dark deceits of fraud cannot be found in the hearts of those who desire the greatness called virtue. And the fortune that is amassed by fraud may appear to prosper, but it will soon perish altogether. Go from untruth to truth. Humbly admit your ignorance as we move to an ever more enlightened state of being. And as Hindus, we tap into that Atmana, that immortal Amritam nectar within us. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Seeking a peace that must come through strength. A peace that comes through justice. So fellow Hindus, stand up for the Hindu yoga, religious, spiritual, scientific, philosophical lifestyle. Jai Ganesha, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.